Hey lovelies, how you doing? Sam Lenny here today. I thought I'd come on to talk about synchronicities. I've been guided to let's come and have a chat about synchronicities, and that could be anything from, seeing certain phrases, getting words that keep coming through, or maybe even seeing butterflies, or whatever your thing is. But I'm coming today to talk about numbers. I'm a big fan of numerology, and I'm a very big fan and curious about numbers and seeing repeating numbers. And so what's been happening, I think I had a look at my phone, because in definitely the last year, in fact it's been a bit longer, I've been recording every time I see a repeating number on my phone. So that could be 111, 1111, 22, 2222, 1313, 1414, 1515. You get the drift. So it doesn't really matter what the number is, but I've found that there's not a day that goes by that I don't see at least 2, maybe 3 repeating numbers. The most usual ones, the ones that pop up the most for me, are the 1s and the 2s. And I look back at my phone and I can track the times that I was less conscious about this. So occasionally I might have just clicked the screenshot on my phone and recorded it. And the earliest one I've consciously recorded by screenshotting, is back in 2016, which happens to coincide with the fact that we moved here to Australia. And so it was such a fundamental change that it's kind of like interesting that those cues, I'm going to say cues, came about, those prompts came about. Whether it was just because they started to happen more, or whether it was just that they were happening anyway, I just found myself recognizing them more often. So we're going through this planetary ascension. We are becoming more conscious as human beings, and so I find this whole thing more and more fascinating. The deeper I go, the more conscious I become, and so I've just been called to come on today and just talk a little bit about this, because I remember when I first started to see recurring numbers, and I'm sure this is the same for many people, is that you Google it. So what does 111 mean? What does 1111 mean? So on and so forth. And generally what comes up on Google is a number of pages, most often around angel numbers. So we read the angel numbers and it has some correlation. We can kind of associate what the meaning is to life. And so I started to do this for a little while. And then I focused on it a bit more specifically. I wanted to go a bit deeper. I wanted to find out a bit more about this. So what happened was that I began to track, or just take notice of, whether there was any reoccurring themes with any particular number. For example, seeing ones, if I saw 11 or 1111, and I'm going back a little while now, I'm not specifically talking about the present day, but I would go back and I would, you know, consider what that meant, and I would write a couple of words down. And generally the ones would mean that I was feeling very calm at that point, just like observations about how I was feeling. So I was feeling very calm, I was feeling very centered, almost like not in any state of, I wouldn't say panic or rushing around, or I just seemed to be in this kind of really serene state. And I think this began to build up more and more after I was attuned to Reiki master level. So this is about opening up my energy, our energy centers, shifting, you know, our vibration raising. And so, you know, this is a personal thing. This is what this meant to me. And there'd be occasions where if I would write, I'd see the numbers and then I'd write down the meaning, and it might have been that it was like I just had a feeling about something at that time, like intuitively. I was like, oh, okay, so I'm seeing that number. That definitely means this, or definitely means that. And it was something in my life that was going on. And it was, I guess, a confirmation. It was like, yeah, you know, like somebody's tapping you on the shoulder going, yeah, you've got this, that's right, that's right. And so that's kind of how this exploration started. Then as I developed and, you know, worked that muscle, if you like, worked that mind muscle, and then got into twos, and then into threes, and then into fours, and then into fives. And I went through a period of seeing one and a number. So 1 and 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, like 13 minutes past 13, you know, 13 minutes past 1 p.m. And that kind of threw a bit of a bit of a curveball. So it's like, what is this suddenly telling me? And what I learned through that was that in that moment, I was feeling very aligned, very centered, very balanced, very in my power, in my own energy, feeling empowered. But the number tended to relate to something that I'd been reading at the time. And this might have been moving, you know, coming forward and a bit now in the timeline. I think this may have been when I started to become attuned to archangels, to Metatron specifically. And what happened was that the numbers then tended to relate to whatever I was reading at the time. So, for example, the twos tended to relate to relationships and partnerships and, you know, building connections. So I could see a link around that. And, you know, part of my, you know, my mental brain, my ego brain was like, you know, oh, this isn't really, what's this all about? This can't be correct for you. You know, you need to go back and look at Google and reread the angel numbers, because if somebody who has more experience than you in all this, they must be right. Their suggestion, their meaning around this must be right. So I've gone around, it's like playing tennis, right, with yourself. You know, you're hitting the ball on one side of the court, and then you're running, and then you're hitting the other. And so I have this sort of ping-ponging situation going on, all around needing to trust that whatever messages I was intuitively picking up, whatever the meanings were, they were unique to me, and that was okay. That is okay. That's it. This is essentially what it is. This is the practice around trusting your own guidance, trusting your own higher self. So then, for example, threes came along, and threes, for me, tends to be a bit of a motherly, I want to say like a motherly energy. It tends to be a bit of a, oh, you know, we've got, we're protecting you, you know, you're covered, you're looked after. Tends to be a bit of a mother type energy for me. This all comes around by getting a book, getting a diary, getting a journal and journaling this stuff to work out where all of this is landing. And I always think of it as like little breadcrumbs along the path, and you're just going along and picking one breadcrumb up and another breadcrumb, and all of a sudden you're full with all of this energy, all this information that integrates and begins to make sense. I have a seeker archetype in my archetypal chart as well, so I'm kind of always seeking for more wisdom, for more understanding and knowledge. And then I got to discovering that the fours, so fours for me came around when I was connected to my when I was receiving guidance, was getting a nudge from what I want to call my cosmic team. So these are like, for me, they're known as a Dominion. They are very light cosmic team. Whether they're Palladian or not, I know this again comes into has come into my awareness around them being Palladian. I don't know, but Palladian is 44 million trillion whatever light years away. I don't even know what it is, but the point is it's fours. I didn't know that until I was aware of these fours, and they kept coming up, and then I went down the path following the crumbs and becoming more aware of my Akashic records. And so I went and practiced more of that. Certainly involved in helping clients to heal by going into their Akashic records. So that information, that consciousness, that energy started to build within me. I become more curious about that as well. So then I did an Akashic Records reading class with a lady called Ashley Wood. And so there was other breadcrumbs there. So we're looking at like a big container of information here. So then what happened is the more knowledge, the more awareness I've gained, the more connected I've become to my higher self, the more downloads I've received, the more I have traveled in dream state. It's almost like, you know, like lucid dreaming, being in one dimension and then turning around and then being in another dimension, and just exploring other timelines, if you like, other dimensions where there is no time. And so you can be in many different places at once. So this was all come around, as I say, just doubling back from the fact that I started to just track this numerology and track this synchronicity of numbers, and not, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's just another number, you know, so I'm seeing that number again and then move on. But actually being in the practice of being aware of them first, acknowledging them first, then asking your higher self, being in meditation, just receiving guidance when you ask for it, because you have to ask for it, just getting more information coming through. So that's kind of been a bit of my journey. And then I wanted to share this with you. So I can do a lot of time traveling. I can do a lot of traveling in my dreams. My dreams are pretty lucid. And what happened most recently was that, well, I went through a period of writing down my dreams. I had a notebook by the bed and I would write them then got out of that habit. It was a habit for a little while. And then I saw online somewhere, I was in one of the sort of spiritual groups, I can't even remember what it was, but somebody had mentioned about David Wilcock, who's an author, speaker. Do look him up, but he was publishing a new book, and I didn't even know what this book was about, but I got the pulse to just download this book. And as I'm saying that, my crown energy center's really warm, really heating up. So there's obviously a spotlight coming into this. I don't know why I need to share this with you, I don't know, but anyway, he has this book. Didn't even know what the book was called. Something about being in contact with the divine, something about awakening. Anyway, so I went on to Kindle, typed in his name into the search bar. The first book that comes up was this book, so I've downloaded it. And this is, you know, I want to really make the point about following the breadcrumbs. I didn't know what this book was about. I started to read it a couple of nights ago, and it turns out that it's all about lucid dreaming. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because I do a lot of dreaming. I know there's a lot going on. I'm in different places, not just in this physical place here. I'm picking up all of this information, and I have lucid dreams about non-earthly stuff. And then people that are on Earth that I know are in this other dimension with me. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. In this book, he was talking a couple of nights ago when I read it about the benefit of synchronicities and the benefit of writing down, journaling your dreams, because particularly where dreams are concerned, it's very prophetic. But from a synchronicity and numerology perspective, you know, we're looking at number sequences, you are provided with all the information that you would need to know. And this information is, these synchronicities happen to get you to stop, to go within, to trust your gut, to listen to your higher self, and pick up the cues, pick up the breadcrumbs in order to, yes, stay in that alignment, because you're in alignment if you are aware of that anyway, but to remain in that alignment, but to pick up what the meaning is of that synchronicity, that number sequence at the time. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I've clearly, my higher self, my cosmic team, I've been guided towards downloading this book to remind me of these two very strong facts. One is to remember what is happening or what I'm thinking and feeling at the time that I see a synchronistic number, and also a reminder to start tracking my dreams again. So I'm like, boom, okay, I've got it. So all within this, I'm about to do this video for you, and just as I'd set myself up, just as I was about to press play, I'd grabbed the book, the Kindle, because I wanted to remember what David Wilcock's book was called, and it's called Awakening the Dream. I got, well, you know, it doesn't matter how you say what you need to say or what you have to share today. You're sharing because you need to teach this. You know that part of your soul purpose, your higher purpose, is to teach. And I've gone, well, yeah, of course, yes, I've got that, I understand that. And then I looked at the clock and it was 11:11. So it's almost like it's a confirmation that no matter what I do, I'm in alignment when I'm teaching something, or I'm explaining an experience, or just giving some sort of guidance based on my experience, to offer an alternative view, to teach another view, to teach ultimately to stand in your own truth, to stand in your own uniqueness, to your own individuality. And while it's okay to go external and find out sources of information and be curious about things, never take anything that you receive externally as a soul teaching. The soul teaching comes from looking at that information and translating it into your own unique experience. And so doubling back again to what I was sharing initially about wanting to talk about signs and synchronicities, this today has come around again as a reminder that we are all unique individual beings, and that my reasoning, my interpretation of numerology, of synchronicities, whatever it is I'm receiving in, whatever knowledge I'm watching, reading, listening to, none of it really matters until I've brought it in here and interpreted it here as my unique source, my unique footprint, into my unique DNA, if you like. So the lesson, the teaching is around your independence, your own uniqueness, and to, yes, receive knowledge, be curious, listen to others, learn from others, but to integrate it into your own language, into your own soul footprint, to your needs, and what it actually means to you, what your own interpretation is. So yeah, it's it's been quite a journey this year. I think it's been a journey for all of us, I know. But yeah, I'm gonna go out today and buy myself another journal specifically for dreams, so I can journal my dreams and see what prophecies arrive. I think what happened, David was talking about, I forget because the numbers aren't really important. The story is, the message is like within like a 4 or 5 year period, he journaled every day, and I think he probably still does, but he was talking about a particular period where he journaled every day, and 20 years later, the things that he journaled, because he'd received it from his AKASHIC record, he'd received this information that relates to him from the unified field, to then use, to make use of it, for it to be useful at this point in his life. So can you imagine, with being more consciously aware, raising your vibration through healing, constantly checking into your energy field, upgrading yourself, processing, integrating, to become more conscious. You are expanding your energy field to receive even more information, and that information can come from any timeline, and it can come from any dimension as well. We as human beings, we just look at this space around us as being this is it. We're separate to anything else. It's just this. When we know, because we know. There's plenty of people that are involved in looking at quantum physics and cosmology and all this kind of thing, that there is more to us, more to who we are than just what we see. So yeah, I hope that was I'm not sure if that was useful, but I just wanted to share that calling to one's individuality, to your individuality, and maybe you are synchronicities, number sequences aren't a thing for you at the moment, but as I'm teaching this, I know that it's going to become more prolific for you, more apparent for you. And so it's like, what are the messages? What are the messages that are coming through for you when these numbers align, come into your field? So it's exciting stuff. And I just wanted to pick a card around that. And the card that came through, I don't know if you can see that, Courage. It's actually waves crashing against rocks. It looks a bit like cloud formation, doesn't it? But it's yeah, pretty choppy seas and waves crashing against the rocks. So courage, it's like have courage to trust your own knowing, to trust the signs that are coming through, trust the synchronicities, but trust in yourself. Trust that the interpretation that you receive from that and what's going on in your life, what you're thinking and feeling at any one time, is to not ignore it, but to listen, to query, to question, to make a note, and to integrate and to follow the breadcrumbs. Always follow the breadcrumbs. So I hope you found this video useful, and thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care.